som do dance hall, good fire. Sem preconceito, é paz e amor. Good vibration, jam bright soul.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Fago Franklin III with New Stitch Media. Today, I am joined by former NFL head coach of the Cleveland Browns, as well as the Oakland Raiders, Hue Jackson. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well. Cannot complain. Before we get into your coaching journey, I would love for you to give some encouragement to my viewers about the uncertain times that we are having and facing today.
Well, it is a tough time. Obviously, the biggest impact I think we can all have is to vote on the 3rd, or have already voted to make a difference. It's a tough time. Anytime you're dealing with racism and other things that are going on, I think what people have to do is first make sure they clean their house first and foremost. Make sure things in their home, with their family, with their friends are taken care of at the highest level. And then you worry about what else is going on in the world, because family and friends are truly what it's all about. So my advice to anybody is just make sure that you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and paying attention to everything that's going on in the world. Not to fall off the cliff because of it, but just to understand there's a lot of things happening, and this is an unprecedented time in all of our lives. So none of us knew that any of this was happening or how it was going to unfold. So I think everybody's got to have their eyes open and their ears listening, because there's a lot going on.
I agree. Thank you for those words of encouragement. So let's get into your NFL journey. What inspired you to start coaching in the first place?
I think way back when I was a young kid, I was always the quarterback, always thrust out in front by my other coaches and people. And you look up and you start leading groups of men, young men, and being a quarterback, you're always seen as a leader. And next thing you know, you're sitting out in front of a whole group of men and trying to help them win a championship.
I agree. So there are only 3 Black coaches and 1 Latina head coach in the NFL. How do we diversify the NFL? How does that happen?
Well, I mean, it's even deeper problem than what you just mentioned. There's only been 18 minority head coaches in the 100-year history of the National Football League. And this is 100 years. So that tells you that there's a big problem. I think in order to understand any problem, to attack any problem, you got to understand where it comes from, first and foremost. So I think you have to go back and look at the history of the league, the beginning of the league, where it started. When was the first time there was a Black player involved in the league? When was the first time there was a Black coach involved in the league? And I think that would tell you that minorities are starting from a whole different starting point than our Caucasian brothers. So I think you have to first understand that before you can ever attack it. And I think it's truly about asking the right questions first and foremost, and then trying to come up with answers. I think people come up with answers too fast, and I don't think they work. And I don't think people ask enough of the right questions in order to fix the problem.
What advice can you give some of these younger athletes about utilizing their platforms and speaking about, the uncomfortable topics that a lot of people want to sweep under the rug?
Well, I think that's the hard part. I think people say they want to have those conversations, but people understand the backlash that can come from having those kind of uncomfortable conversations. I would tell anybody, use your platform for what's right. If people are going to get mad at you for being honest and truthful, then they're going to get mad at you anyway. So I think how you approach things from that standpoint, if you come at it from the right place, not from a bad place, but from a good place, that, hey, look, we're just trying to make an impact and make a difference, people probably will listen. But if you come at it the wrong way, then people are just going to shut down and nothing ever changes.
Do you think, in your experience, that not just yourself, but other African-American head coaches in different sporting organizations get crucified and criticized more than different cultures of head coaches?
Oh, I think that's obvious. I mean, just look at the 100 years history of the league. I said 18. So that's got to tell you that that is what happens, and we're put in a place to where we can't ask certain questions. Other people have to ask those questions in order to get those answers. And I get it. If a coach is coaching in the league and he's making $500,000, all of a sudden that money may be gone. You might lose your spot. And so I think people are very fearful of those things.
How has football molded you into the individual and the coach that you are today?
Football's done so much for my life. When you look at understanding discipline, teamwork, working with others, which is part of teamwork, understanding the discipline, the determination that it takes, the desire that it takes to be good. You learn all these skills at a young age, and you just sharpen them as you get older. So football's done a lot for my life. Coaching has done a lot for me, and I'm very appreciative for it.
I know you faced a lot of criticism when you were coaching the Raiders as well as the Browns. How did you overcome all of that? Because I know you probably hated the media and you was not looking at the newspapers. So how did you overcome that?
Well, you got to understand when you take these jobs, that comes with it. The negative comments are going to come. You're not going to make everybody happy. The people you work with and for are the most important people that you make happy. And every situation is different. The Raiders situation was different in Cleveland. The Raiders situation, the owner died and they needed to move on. We were an 8-8 football team. The situation in Cleveland, we didn't win a lot of games, and they let me go during the year. So that was totally different. And so you learn from each experience, but boy, it is tough, but you find out about who you really are in those situations.
How has your faith helped you just overcome a lot, not just as a coach, but life obstacles as well, too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to have faith in a higher being God, and then faith in yourself, in who you are and what you stand for. And just because things don't go right all the time doesn't mean that you're the reason that it didn't, or whatever that is. You got to truly believe that God put you where you are, and maybe you're the person that could go through it better than the next person could. So I do have faith and trust in that, and I believe I'm going to go back and coach again and have a great career.
Since the pandemic has hit everybody around the globe, including yourself, how have you adapted since the pandemic hit?
Well, it's different. You're a little bit more cautious about where you go, what you do, who you're around. I think everybody's washing their hands more than they ever have before. I've been on planes and I've watched people clean planes better than probably the crew could clean them. So there's a lot of different things that are going on in our world each and every day, but you try to pay attention to the things that you can control, which is washing your hands, making sure you wear your mask, making sure you social distance from people that you don't know, and making sure that you follow all the rules that way.
What is your perspective about Baker Mayfield? Do you think he has that it factor with, in the near future being that top tier quarterback?
I've always thought Baker had the it factor. That's why we drafted him number 1 overall. And I think people saw this past week who he is. I think Baker's a shotgun quarterback, and when he plays in the gun, he plays really well. I think when people ask him to play under center a lot, I just don't think that's his strength. I think you showcase his strength and you don't showcase his weaknesses. And I think last week they did a good job of doing that. And the guy threw 5 touchdown passes.
If you could kind of coach the Jacksonville Jaguars, what would you improve with that organization as well as, the offense?
Well, it's hard for me to say because I don't coach them. I know what you're saying. I mean, they're struggling. First of all, I think you have to make sure you have the right quarterback. I'm not saying that Gardner Minshew is not it. I don't coach him, so I wouldn't know that. But I think you have to have a quarterback first and foremost. You have to surround him with talent. And when I say surround him with talent, I'm not talking about just offensive talent. I'm talking about defensive talent. Because if you believe in your quarterback, you want to be able to get him the ball back. Joe Burrow is showing that right now in Cincinnati. He's playing at a high level, but they don't have an offensive line that can support him. They have receivers, they have runners, they have everything else. Then their defense is struggling. So Joe Burrow is in a tough spot. So I know what that looks like, but first you got to make sure you have the right quarterback.
What teams have surprised you early on in the first half of this season this year?
Well, I think one of the first teams surprised me is the Cleveland Browns. I think, the fact they're 5-2, they got a chance to play the Raiders this week to be 6-2. It's been a long time since they've had that kind of record, so that's been a surprise. I think the Bucs, the gelling of what they're doing offensively with Tom Brady, even though he's the GOAT, I think it's happening faster than people thought it would. They're starting to take on this personality, so that's been very surprising. I think when I look at Tennessee, what they've done thus far, they're growing. They play like their coach. He's a tough, hard-nosed person. They're a tough, hard-nosed team. And then when you look at the Steelers, they're 6-0. With Ben coming back, being out for the year, they're hitting their stride and they're playing good football.
You didn't say anything about the Raiders. What you think about the Raiders? I mean,
I love the Raiders. I love the Raiders, and I feel good about what they're doing. I just, you said the teams that surprised me. I'm not surprised by what they do because I know John Gruden. I mean, he's going to find a way to win games. He's going to find a way to get that organization back to where it needs to be. So that's not a surprise to me. Me and him was office mate. So
okay.
I'm not surprised by anything he does.
Do you think it's way too early to be saying that Patrick Mahomes is a future Hall of Famer?
No, because he is. He truly.
Why? Explain. Go ahead.
When I worked him out, I knew he was special. When a guy can stand flat-footed and throw a ball 73 yards in the air with just torque in his body, and you watch this college team come to the National Football League, he's now been the MVP. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won passing titles. I mean, what more do you want from this guy? He's just going to continue to get better. I think what he's understanding now is he don't have to have a bunch of yards for them to win. He just got to play consistently and get the guys the ball and let everybody else do what they do. And people are now saying he's not having a good a year because he's not throwing for 400 yards here, 300 yards there. They're winning. They're 6-1. And so I get surprised when people talk about that. For quarterbacks, their golden rule is winning. It's not about how many yards you have and how many touchdown passes you have. I think he's already accomplished all that. His goal has to be now to win. He's now gotten all the money, all the accolades you can get. How can he now stack championships on top of each other the way Tom Brady has so he can be considered one of the best to ever play the position?
What are the key factors with becoming a successful coach where everybody respects you?
I think it's about taking the talent that you're giving and creating an environment for those guys to maximize that. Coaches add value to players, in a lot of different ways. They help them make more money, get more endorsements because of the way they play. So you put guys into an environment so they can grow and become better. And that's what they're looking for. And that's what you're looking for as a coach. I mean, you want a player who wants to ascend. When you get players who are descending, you want to get them off your team as fast as you can. So it goes both ways. But players are looking for coaches who can help them become better and to help them improve their lot in life. And coaches want to be able to do that. The good coaches, that's what they do.
What advice could you give some of these younger rookies as well as free agents that, are looking for an opportunity about staying true to themselves, working hard, and been determined even though they've been rejected or either just trying to find a spot on the roster?
You're going to get rejected at some point in time, and that's okay. That doesn't mean it's the end. That doesn't, dictate your career or what you can be or what you can do. It just might not be the right fit. So I would say, guys, keep staying after it, keep grinding, keep investing in you, keep doing everything you can to better yourself first as a player, as a person, so that you can someday land in a good opportunity for you.
How have you balanced being a coach as well as family life? Because I know it can be difficult at times.
There is no balance. I don't care what nobody says. If you want to be one of the best at what you do, there is not a balance. And so you have to have a partner that understands that. Especially, I hate to say it this way, being a minority coach. You're not going to have balance if you want to be a head coach someday because you might have to spend a little bit more time than most. You might have to take different type of jobs than most in order to get to where you want to be. But you have to understand you do have a family. And as long as you're transparent and let them know the things you're trying to accomplish and why you're doing it that way, hopefully everybody will understand.
Now, I know me and you are both people of color. What else can we do to kind of change the dynamic of, of getting changed in society? Because we're doing all this marching, you're doing all this protesting, we're wearing masks that's saying Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. What else can we do? Because we're just basically saying, a repeat of 2016.
Well, until, like I said earlier, the right conversations are had, you got to ask the right questions to get to the right conversations. And I think it started off being the right conversations, but then it slowly died. Now, like you said, the marching, the protesting, those things haven't stopped because there's been other incidents that's happened and people are getting fed up. And I think until our leadership in this world truly take a stance and say enough's enough, and we're going to truly do something about this, I don't think anything's going to change.
And the last question is, what advice can you give people that are interested with being coaches, whether it's from high school level or either the pros?
You do everything you can to better yourself. You go to every seminar, You can meet with anybody who's willing to spend time with you that you think can help you and help prepare you to be a better coach, to learn your skill, to be as good as there is in the world. So that means you have to invest in you first and foremost. I think too many times people invest in everything else, trying to get one of these opportunities, but you have to invest in you, because when you get the opportunity, you got to be ready for it. And if you're not, that's going to show itself too. So I think put in the time, work at it, find any seminar, any, football fundamental teaching situation you can, so that you can learn as much as you can, but do it with people who are seasoned veterans who've been through the good and the bad, who understand how to help you come out of it, because everything's not going to go good. And when it doesn't go good, can you handle it and turn it to where all of a sudden it becomes better than what it was?
Amen. Thank you for allowing me to interview you and joining me on my podcast. I enjoyed everything you were saying, Coach. And we will definitely talk soon, my friend.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Yes, sir. All right, now have a blessed one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.